Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I'm coming to you from Siloam Missionary Baptist Church located in Rougemont, North Carolina, where the Reverend Wayne Johnson is pastor. I'll be going over the Sunday school lesson for October 15th, 2023, which is entitled A Backsliding People. Lesson text comes from Judges chapter 2, verses 16 through 23. Related scriptures, Deuteronomy chapter 9, verses 1 through 8, Judges chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, and Psalm chapter 106, verses 34 through 48. My name is Charlotte Timberlake. The scripture lesson text reads as thus: Nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord. But they did not so. And when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judge, and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings, by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers, in following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he said, Because that this people hath transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them I may prove Israel whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein, as their fathers did keep it or not. Therefore the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. Golden text. The Lord raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. Judges chapter 2, verse 16. Today's lesson aim. Facts. To examine how God raised up leaders to meet the need of his people at every crucial moment in their history. Principle. To show that God raises up the right people at the right times to do his work in this world. Application. To demonstrate that when we turn away from God, he often sends the right people before us to turn us back to him. Introducing the lesson. Just before Joshua passed off the scene, the people of Israel enthusiastically declared that they would follow their God. This lesson covers how they forgot their promise and how God dealt with an erring people. It may be that we can learn how God deals with us when we choose to turn away from him. Developing the lesson. Number 1, God raised up judges. Judges chapter 2, verse 16. Even though we see that the people of Israel had turned away from God and their promises to him and back to the ways of the world, we find a merciful God working on their behalf. He raised up judges to instruct them and to lead them back into the ways of God. Number 2, Israel turned away from God. Judges chapter 2, verse 17. We read that after God made provision to take care of Israel's needs as a nation, the people turned away from him. They forgot the promises that they had made to him along with Joshua and his household. They forgot to follow in the path of those who had been faithful to God before them. They forgot the heritage of godliness that preceded them. Number 3, God's mercy seen through the judges. Judges chapter 2, verse 18. God reminds us in his word that he is merciful. When God saw his people suffering at the hands of their enemies, he sent judges to deliver them. He had pity on them. In the same way, God's heart softens in pity when he sees us suffering, and he works despite our wayward ways to set us free from our trying circumstances. He gave the Israelites judges who would lead them. God is a merciful God who does everything to turn us back to him. He sends us godly people to instruct us and lead us back to a path of righteousness. Number 4, Israel again turned away from God. Judges chapter 2, verse 19. The people followed God for a time, but when that judge died, they forgot to follow him and went back to the gods of the nations around them. The lesson for us is that when God sends us godly leaders, we ought to follow them and their instruction. Number 5, God removed his blessing. Judges chapter 2, verses 20 through 23. The people had to learn a bitter lesson, one that is certainly appropriate for us today as well. When they disobeyed him, God removed his blessing. I will now go over the questions in the back of the lesson. Question number 1. In what surprising way did God use the pagan nations in Canaan? The answer: the Lord used pagan people to chastise the Israelites for their sins. Question number 2. Why did the Lord occasionally raise up judges in Israel? The answer: God raised up judges from time to time to lead the Israelites in their opposition to oppression and grant them the deliverance they needed. Question number 3. How did judges differ from kings? The answer: they were in leadership positions for a limited time, and they had no royal family line to succeed them as earthly kings did. Some were also limited to certain sections of Canaan rather than the whole land. Question number 4. What sins characterized Israel during the period of the judges? The answer: first, they chased after gods worshipped by pagans in the land of Canaan. Question number 5. Since God is unchanging, what does Judges chapter 2 verse 18 mean when it says that God repented? The answer: the Hebrew word in Judges chapter 2 verse 18 translated repenting can carry the idea of relenting or taking pity. This may include the thought of becoming softer or less severe and harsh. In other words, God's plan never changed. What changed was that he was now ready to rescue them because their suffering had finally caused them to earnestly ask for his help. Question number 6. How did the Israelites react to the various deliverances from their enemies? The answer: even after deliverance, the apostasy seems to have continued, with or without judges being on hand, and this went on for about 3 centuries. Question number 7. What emotion did the waywardness of the Israelites create in the Lord? The answer: verse 20 declares that the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. This is a blunt statement that cannot be reduced to something less severe. Question number 8. What did Israel suffer as a result of not driving all the pagan people out of Canaan? The answer: wherefore I also said I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you. Judges chapter 2, verses 2 through 3. Question number 9. How did God display the true state of Israel's character? The answer: God said that he used the pagan people of Canaan to prove or test Israel. He allowed these heathen people to remain there alive and functioning in the midst of his chosen people in order to display or to reveal Israel's spiritual character or lack of it. And question number 10. Under whose leadership did Israel eventually gain full control of its borders and expand them? The answer: it was not until the ascension to power of King David and his son Solomon that full control was established over Canaan and the boundaries were extended through military prowess, political alliance, and wise administration. Here are the lesson's practical points. Number 1. We too easily forget what the Lord has saved us from and get caught up in the wrong things. Judges chapter 2, verses 16 through 17. Number 2. God does not enjoy having to chasten his people and will deliver them as soon as possible. Verse 18. Number 3. Without someone to hold us accountable, it is easy to lapse into sin. Verse 19. Number 4. We should not expect God's help in overcoming difficulties when we are living in disobedience to him. Verses 20 through 21. And number 5. Trials and obstacles are often what we need to help us stay faithful. Verses 22 through 23. In summary, when we are going the wrong way, God sends us godly leaders to turn us back to the right way. In this week's lesson, we have seen not only that God is merciful to us in the times we turn away from him, but also that he provides us a way to get back to him. In the lesson, we saw how God provided godly leaders for the people of Israel at their times of crisis. As long as they followed their godly leadership and instruction, they were safe from their enemies and God kept his hand of blessing on them. When they disobeyed, God removed his blessing. As disciples of Christ, we are called to return to him. Christian leaders can help us do this. This will conclude the lesson for this morning. Thank you for listening. I will leave you with this verse. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14.